Middle of last week, I received an email. I think I might have talked about it, in which Sony Interactive Entertainment said that I was just the kind of streamer that they were looking for to review their games, and so sent me a copy of Last of Us 2, or sorry, Last of Us Part 2. And then, very bizarrely, the day before, Wednesday morning, they sent an email out that said, "Hey man, remember how we said the embargo was like midnight Thursday? Fuck that. It's Thursday morning." So I streamed some Last of Us Part 2 Thursday afternoon. And I have some thoughts. Before I say any of those thoughts, Woolie, have you played the game at all?
I haven't. I still want to. I intend to do so on my own time. I've been scrolling past Last of Us tweets all week. Again, my intention is to play it for my own opinions and see how I feel about the game.
All right. So I'm not going to try and convince you of anything, but I do have some shit that I want to talk about, particularly since I played it for 4 or 5 hours, or actually I played it for exactly 4 hours and 6 minutes. Somebody broke it down. And I do have some thoughts, at least about the early game. I don't have any about the late game because I didn't fucking play it, right?
Okay.
It's fucking, right off the bat, boy, it's gorgeous. Holy shit. Like, I remember even when I was in the middle of complaining about it, I'm like, wow, it's beautiful. Like, money and time went into this. And then every time I said something like that, I'm like, oh, right, yeah, the crunch, haha. But, so, I can't think of a game that is less possible to go in fairly one way or the other. So, either you heard a bunch of shit or heard about hearing a bunch of shit, and you're like, oh, that sounds terrible, or I don't know, or it gives you a pit in your stomach, or like, I'm sure it'll be great. You know, like it was very difficult to go in with like a clean slate, clean opinion. And every single word that came out of the director's mouth, which would be Neil Druckmann, kind of poisoned me personally against the game because he's an asshole. And the whole thing about the game should be compared to Schindler's List.
He was being too artsy about the product.
Right? It was like fucking just the worst set of impressions to go in on.
All right.
I don't think the story is, from what I saw, as good as the first one, even in its well, you're familiar with the call to adventure, right? Like, it's the start of the story.
So.
It's the inciting incident that makes the hero pick up the magic sword and go on the fucking hero's journey, right? So the call to adventure in Last of Us 1 is fucking zombies, shit. This girl might be the cure, go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Here, it's... I don't think it's too big of a spoiler to say it's fairly darker and crueler and more revenge-based than that.
Mm.
But the circumstances around that seem really, really, really forced. And I'm not sure if I think it's super forced because I came in with negative expectations or because it's actually really, really forced.
Okay.
But I kept having the situation over and over and over where I would almost laugh and point at the screen and go, "Are you kidding me?" Because they do something that shitty zombie fiction does, which is there needs to be tension. So let's spawn 1,000 monsters next to the people so that there's tension and there's drama and there's like a big problem, even though it makes no sense for those 1,000 monsters to just appear. And then once their usefulness as a dramatic device is over, they all just disappear and go away. And I'm sitting in a scene going like, wasn't there 500 guys right there? Aren't they supposed to be there in this scene even? And just little things that are nitpicky, but Wooly, you live in Canada, so if you have not seen a moose, you you know what a moose the fuck is. You know what a moose is.
Pretty familiar with the moose.
There's a moose in Last of Us 2 that has been eaten by monsters, eaten by clickers, right? And you find this thing, and it is torn open down to the rib cage. And when I saw it, I started to laugh my ass off because it is, how do I put this? You know when a game gives you a crowbar and it says you can only hit somebody with the crowbar 5 times before it breaks?
Mm-hmm.
And you go, that's the most ridiculous shit in the world. A crowbar is made out of like solid iron or solid steel. No
Mm-hmm.
human being would ever be able to smash a crowbar to pieces.
Mm-hmm.
This is the animal equivalent of that. A moose weighs 1,500 pounds and is nothing but muscle.
Mm-hmm.
A human being would break every finger, tooth, and piece of their body off of their body attempting to claw into a moose.
Mm.
It is so absurd that they could even cut it with their hands that I started to laugh. There is a bit. Are you familiar with the Fallout 4 fridge ghoul?
No.
So in Fallout 4, there is a ghoul kid that you find who's 10 years old. He's a kid ghoul. They're the radioactive people that live forever, but they go crazy eventually. And you find this kid in a fridge, and he's been hiding in the fridge since before the bombs dropped. And Fallout 4 takes place 200 plus years after the bombs dropped. And you're like, wait, ghouls not only don't need they live forever, but now they don't need to eat, and they don't need to drink water, and they don't need to breathe. And it's just like, one of those fixturing, shattering contrivances. There is a portion in Last of Us 2 that is very similar to this, in which you walk into a room and find some dudes who are going to rob a bank. This is even a little side area. It's not even part of the main plot. But some dudes that were going to rob a bank on Infection Day or Outbreak Day, right? Because they're like, society's crumbling, let's go rob a bank. And you find them, and they're still wearing their vests and their clickers. And it's been 30 years since the outbreak. And they're still there in the bank. They haven't died of old age. They haven't starved. They haven't turned into the mushroom colonies like they're supposed to. And it's just constantly like, what? Huh? Apparently it gets a lot better in the let's say after the first fifth of the game, but the first 5 hours gameplay wise are a total slog. I joked about it, and somebody did a fucking like a minute counter on it, and I spent 13% of my stream doing stealth and fighting enemies and traditional gameplay stuff.
Yeah, I saw that. I think it was Buttons Houlihan.
Yeah. No, it wasn't Buttons. It was he retweeted my tweet, but it was a different guy on the subreddit. He was the guy who did the boy statistics from God of War.
Okay.
That Redditor. I forget his name, unfortunately. I can go dig the tweet back up. But he broke it down, and it's like 87% of the game was a combination of cutscenes, walking through environments, reading like pamphlets and stuff like that, or something the game just loves when it feels that they've had too many cutscenes, which is the walk and talk.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it's not a cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
You can move.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first 4 or 5 hours, it's literally like watch a cutscene, walk and talk, and then every half an hour maybe do 1 or 2 stealth rooms and fight zombies for like 5 minutes, and then go back to another half hour of cutscenes and walk and talk.
Now, from what I remember of Last of Us 1, it's never really open per se. You're pretty much on that line the entire time.
Yeah.
But I guess combat was closer together because you fight a bunch of people, and then you
So
get towards
you
the
you played the first one, right? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, 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 and the
So
DLC.
I went back to the old LP after when I was finishing up the stream. I went back to the old LP. I was like, okay, at, let's say I had been streaming the first game. Where would I have been? Right? What would have happened? And by the sequence that I finished the other night, I had done like 33 minutes of gameplay, big air quotes there, like just like because I know some people count the cutscenes and stuff like that, but I had done that and I was in Seattle. In Last of Us 1, you would have had the opening section, you would have had Escape from the City, you would have had the whole skyscraper section, the whole Boston City section, and you would have been halfway through Bill's town by the time I ended.
Okay.
And all the sequences that were present there. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, I went in with the expectation that I was probably going to not like the story. And I don't think had I gone in clean, I would have liked the story any better. But more than anything, I found it to be just dull. Like moment to moment, just dull.
And this
I
you played one session, right?
I played one session and I feel no desire to go back. I have heard nothing from anybody whose opinion that I trust anything good about the sequence. Somebody, sorry, not the sequence, but the sequence of events. Somebody ran the numbers. The game is about 30-40% cutscenes in terms of hour count. And if even if it evens out a little bit, it's like, let's say 30% cutscenes and let's give it another 20% of like walk and talk and various shenanigans. The gameplay that I played felt pretty much identical to the first game in terms like the all the same abilities and moves and guns. It's all pretty much exactly the same. So it's tied to a story that I was just not interested in at all.
Hmm.
And like I'm like, why would I continue to keep playing it so that I can like I could spite play it if I wanted, but I was just bored.
The one statement that I always keep in mind and remember is that like upon announcement of this game, I was like, why? You don't. It's not a game that needs it. And then there was the interview where they said, yeah, we always thought like we'd never want to go back to this unless we had a really good reason to in terms of writing. And eventually, years later, we stumbled across that reason, and we thought, okay, that's worth pulling out these characters and revisiting them. So I was like, okay, sounds like you're convinced there's a reason here, and based on the first one being a game that I really liked, I can put my trust in that reason being a good one. So, that's
The
weird. That's weird to hear that it's
the
so
redditor that
far
compiled
not great.
that data was Hyperion XV. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I appreciate it. And I guess there's two more things I want to talk about it, but they're weird. So, uh, the game is about revenge, right? The theme of Last of Us 2 is revenge, and the narrative takes you on what is essentially three different people are going cross-continental journeys of the United States. We're talking like 500 to 800 mile plus journeys across the US in the state that Last of Us is in for revenge against singular individuals. And if you remember, there was an interview with IGN and the devs of Last of Us 1 in which they described the original ending of Last of Us 1 was actually Tess was going to be the primary antagonist. Did you ever read that?
I feel like I did, but I forgot. Must have been
So
a
uh,
while ago.
the basic idea was that Tess would be the primary antagonist, and in leaving the city, Joel would have fucked her on a deal or something like that, and she would hunt him down, and she would be the Virgil of the game, I guess. And they scrapped it because here's the quote: "We also had a hard time buying that Tess would go on a vendetta. We could understand her pursuing Joel a little bit, but why would she go for a year around the country?" That's the plot of the second game, is multiple people taking months-long journeys across the United States against single individuals. And it feels insane to me that the same team that said, "Oh, that's silly that somebody would go that far for revenge for a reason," then make a game in which that's the core plot. It's weird. The other thing is have you seen Metacritic about this? Because it's really funny.
Saw a screenshot of it doing not great.
So the fact that it's not doing well on Metacritic is not what's funny. Games get review bombed all the time for all sorts of fucking stupid reasons, right? What's funny is that all the user reviews are gone and only the number remains because Metacritic is currently plastered with Last of Us 2 ads.
I see.
It feels very, very Gerstmann Gate-y.
Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing.
In which, like, you go to click on the user reviews and they're not available, and underneath it is a big Last of Us 2 cinematic masterpiece IG, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Come on. And the fact that Sony is DMCAing just everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They DMCA'd the entirety of V the other night because they were talking shit and making their memes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that doesn't do any favors.
That's so fucked.
That's completely stupid and ridiculous.
Let people talk shit about your video game. Motherfuckers, Jesus Lord. I don't know if I'm going to go back to it. I think my weirdest take on this is that if the game had multiplayer, I would have been thrilled to buy it. Because I don't know if you knew anybody who played it, but the multiplayer for Last of Us 1 was fucking great.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
just
this game
none this time, huh?
Multiplayer. Nope. Apparently the people who made it were from like a satellite company or some shit.
Oh,
and
yeah,
aren't
yeah.
associated with
That
Naughty
happen.
Dog
That
anymore.
usually happens. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Still gonna wait to take a look at that on my own. But yeah, it's continues to be the weirdest cold entry there's ever been to anything I can think of.
I don't think it's possible to go in cold, right? Like totally cold.
No, unfortunately not. I mean, you kept that pretty vague-ish, I suppose.
I tried,
but I didn't know about the. I dodged enough to not know about the revenge plot or the destinations, so to speak. But
well, I only know Seattle as one of them.
But
there's way more.
But all
right?
this to say that like you played 5 hours of a 30+ hour game, so like there's definitely going to be things that like that are going to be a shock to both of us, you know. So yeah.
Well, not anymore.
Oh.
After I was done with that, I just started like, all right.
Oh, you just went
fucking
yeah. Okay.
And I was like,
all right. Well, never mind then. Fair enough. Okay. The checkout.
Meme me up, Captain. Thank you.
I guess. I mean, I get it in the sense that like the checkout comes with like, all right, just spoil me. I don't care.
It's freedom.
But
you know what? There is one grand positive about the shit show around this game.
What's that?
And it is the creation of a new form of meme that I'm madly in love with. Because Sony used robots to DMCA takedown footage of the leaks, right? And of the ending and stuff like that. The solution to that would be to take the image of the leak or the cutscene that you want and MS Paint over it with characters of your choosing. And this is one of my favorite new meme templates because people have made like fucking there are stop motion animations of Last of Us cutscenes now made entirely through MS Paint
Whoa.
traceovers.
Whoa. Okay.
And it is the stupidest, shittiest looking. It is the video game cutscene equivalent of our RoboCop remake.
Okay.
And it's hilarious.
The effort's real.
And it's like that is a direct result of like ridiculous copyright shenanigans. So I guess something good came of it after all. I don't like it. I don't think anyone should go buy that game. I think you would probably be better served buying multiple upcoming games on the Steam on the Steam sale, or like you could get I played Dusk and Last of Us 2 in the same week. And I would say you should play through Dusk 3-4 times rather than play through Last of Us 1.
My curiosity is going to get the better of me. I need to know. I mean, I need to know what happened here.
So I'm kind of there too, where I might play through it just to be able to get more, squeeze more poop. Just
to have it.
Just to have it.